Welcome to Beyond the Review, customer conversations about digital transformation success, presented by Raven Intelligence. I'm your host and the founder and CEO of Raven Intel, Bonnie Tinder. Well, hello. Today I am delighted to be joined by Carl Schleyer, Vice President of Total Rewards and HR for Encore, a large global events production company headquartered in Illinois, as well as Steve Grem, President, and Marta Williams, Vice President of Client Services from Wise Consulting, a premier HR consulting partner of UKG. Well, welcome to all of you, and I'm looking forward to the conversation today. To kick things off, I'm wondering, Carl, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Encore, and maybe go over what the last 24 months has looked like for you as an events production company?
Okay, sure. There's three things. Carl Schleyer, Vice President of Total Rewards. That's often described as shared services. So for me, that's in-sourced payroll for U.S. and Canada out of our Chicago office, compensation, all the incentive plans and base management, benefit programs. We do all in-sourced, benefits administration, and of course the tech, HR technology. We think about all that stuff as HR owned and part of Total Rewards or HR shared services. Encore Group, as you mentioned, we are a global provider of meeting space, audio, visual, lighting, sound production. If you've ever been mic'd up or even attended a large convention conference, we have over 1,400 domestic U.S. hotels. And so chances are it's one of our folks wearing show blacks, running the soundboard that was supporting the event that you were part of. And you say last 24 months, Bonnie. Well, I mean, this is particularly a really interesting time in my whole career. I've not had a time like this before when revenues effectively went to 1%. They were 99% of our business evaporated as COVID occurred and live events stopped, and there was all these stay-at-home orders that happened. And so a really interesting time to have to do tax credits and benefit administration, furloughs, employee communication, all kinds of things that we stretched and used the UKG stack was not really built for.
So interesting. And so UKG is your core HCM. How specifically did you utilize that, over this period of rapid change and, in these last 24 months or so?
I guess two ways. First of all, we did take some of the downtime, as about 80% of our workforce was furloughed. We took some of the downtime to consolidate the tech stack. We did about 5 integrations. A lot of people would say that word acquisition. And so that's the financial transaction, right? Then we integrated all of the HR technologies. So that's one way we used it. We kept our folks busy making sure we'd be ready for reopening. Aligning policies, streamlining processes and such. A second way we used it is just the support of our furloughed population. There was pay continuation for a while. There was benefits continuation the entire 24 months. There was a number of tax credits that both the United States and Canadian governments allowed for so that they could keep some level of relationship with employees. And heck, we even turned the homepage of UKG into a portal for communications, as furloughed employees don't have company email anymore or a place to go to the office for conversations. So we changed our homepage to really an outbound furloughed communication landing page.
Wow, so interesting. So really it became a true extension of your business, not just an HR system. So interesting there. We have both Steve and Marta on the phone with us today from Wise Consulting. Can you talk a little bit about how you all got together and what was it from a project perspective that started your work relationship together?
Who's going first on that?
You want to start, Carl?
Sure. Well, there was an acquisition that happened. It was a smaller company out of the Maryland, Washington, D.C. area. And it was really an acquisition that occurred that made us look for third-party partners to help support the onboarding of it. That's the short answer.
Fantastic. And Marta and Steve, if you want to add anything in, how was the beginning of this relationship? What were some of the things that you started off with, I think, to make this partnership successful?
Sure. I think that how we got together with Encore was kind of a little bit different method, maybe, than what we normally have. We met Carl at a connections conference where he was presenting on analytics, and it was something that Wise Consulting was really starting to get involved in and wanted to meet with him and kind of see how they were utilizing the system for their analytics. We set up a meeting in Chicago with his team and our team, and it was kind of a sharing meeting, right? So we had time dedicated where they were sharing with us and we were sharing with them. And I think from that meeting, we realized that we really did have some good synergy together and that we were able to assist one another with projects that they needed, and that we were able to learn a little bit along the way just because they were such a strategic organization as well.
Mm-hmm.
You don't mind, I'll add a point to that, because I think to what Carl was talking about, you moving to an acquisition mode, that's not too unusual for us to get involved with organizations. It's a little bit of a point of differentiation for us, because we oftentimes don't just look at what the need is today. We look at that as what the opportunity is going forward. I think that was one of the reasons why we really started that conversation. It wasn't just about what the need was in the current, it was really what the forward-looking need was. I think we added some value to that.
And, Steve, working with other customers of Wise as well, I mean, that theme of adaptability, we've heard multiple times. So, Carl, what were some of the impacts of these projects that you realized on your business, for instance, like this acquisition? What were some of the points of value that you realized throughout?
Well, we've used Wise for really tactical things like life insurance billing reconciliation and business intelligence or BI reporting. They've helped us with strategic kind of integration acquisition work. We've had high priority like legal time clock and paycheck discovery issues, PTO consolidation. I'm operating in 72 PTO plans in all the U.S. states and all the Canadian provinces. So like when you ask what value, like there's a lot of value across a broad range of projects over the last 3 or more years. I mean, what I generally say is they help my staff be better. Like we think about it as staff augmentation, and they help us take better care of our people, which helps our company be successful.
That's great. And, when I hear you talking about the team as an extension of your business, I think that's a recurring theme that I see throughout all of the software projects that we look at Raven Intelligence. And, I think so much depends on, the synergies between your team and your partner team as well. Steve and Marta, can you talk a little bit about people and about what you feel is important for a team to be perspective? What type of backgrounds are you looking for when you do your hires or assign consultants to a project like Encore's?
Sure, I'll start. I think that the most important thing for Wise is to make sure that we identify resources with practitioner knowledge, right? So they've been someone in the payroll, the HR, the IT world, kind of working in organizations before they ever come to Wise. And that really helps them understand our clients' needs because they've sat in their seats, as well as they're very strong with the UKG system itself. And it helps us kind of think outside the box, provide those different options to clients as they are looking to achieve various items. Steve, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I do actually. I think, and Carl, the comments you make are great to hear because that's exactly what's part of our vision, mission, values. And our vision is about client first, and we always work towards what those things are that's going to make an improvement for the client. Whether it's leveraging the technology better, whether it's a process improvement, whether it's a compliance risk, all of those types of things and many others are oftentimes the focus of what the attention is that our consultants give. And it's really about teamwork. And that goes a long way to what Carl was reinforcing about working together. And that's what we value. That's what we strive to do. It's great to hear when we achieve that.
For sure. And Carl, especially with this large acquisition project that you went through, I was, reading 4,000 employees that needed to be, sort of quickly onboarded. You had very specific requirements. The project was very fast moving. What was the knowledge transfer like between the Encore team and the consulting team at Wise?
Usually, it starts with options, brainstorming, best practice, and then we, align on a plan and execute that plan. Then, typically, I'm seeing my WISE partner take away the problem, do some research, and then provide us direction on. And then there has been, intentional training left behind. So that it could be supplemental runs or displaying a PTO plan on a pay stub, so that we end up having the knowledge to be able to be successful should that situation come up again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what like any project, there's always challenges that come up. Is there anything specific that you can think about? How did you solve challenges as they came up? In for instance, in this particular project?
Related to, there was a few different purchases of companies, so some of the acquisition work. We were a SQL Tools environment, and at the time, business rules didn't have the ability to, through web imports, to be kind of mass loaded or updated. That has since been resolved, but if I'm going back 3 years. And so the specific value that the WISE team was able to bring in grabbing our SQL Tools environment and loading locations, loading job codes, loading cost centers for these acquired companies, that saved us hundreds of hours.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And from Steve and Marta, your perspective, what are some of the things that how do you go about handling challenges as they come up?
I think from our perspective, we really kind of listen to the client and what the client's needs or issues are, kind of go back as an organization within our team and strategize on what's going to be the right way to handle it. What are some of the options? What are the right resources to bring to the table? We do have a very wide team and really believe on bringing the right resource to the table, depending on what it is that is trying to be accomplished, right? So from functional to technical to, payroll specific, we can bring people to the table across many different avenues too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I think some of the words that I heard, which are directly what we do, is listen, look, and understand. And by doing that kind of approach on a common basis, we have the benefit of the depth of experience and knowledge in business. We can stretch out to different places and different folks within our organization to solve a particular problem. Everybody doesn't know every single thing. So it's helpful when that communication can happen internally and we can bring those folks in, to address a particular situation that comes up in a situation like what Carl was describing.
Mm-hmm. I like that. LLU, listen, look, and understand. Those are really key. So Carl, as you think out now in the future, and now I'm imagining Encore is in certainly a different place as production and events are now happening again, which is great news. So your business needs are changing. Will you continue the relationship with Wise Consultant? Where do you see things going in the future?
Yeah, it is awesome to see the re-onboarding of effectively 5,000 folks since in the last few months, since October. And so we're about 80% normal. Where I see things going is simplification. Using best practices and kind of a brainstorming perspective to simplify some of the processes I have, or the way I'm managing part-time sick across a variety of states, and those regulations seem to keep coming, British Columbia being the most recent, January 2022. And so when we think about all of the different ways we've stayed compliant or supported our employees, it leaves us with 21 pay groups, or like I mentioned, 72 PTO plans. I have 84 calculation groups because I have over 70 union contracts. What I see is the need for best practices and simplification, because it's a little hard. It's complex, and there's reasons why it's complex. But are there other things we could be doing to make it more sustainable?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the adaptability that was mentioned before, that Wise has, is that are they on your journey along with you as you optimize for some of these things?
I mean, a real practical kind of silly example. We had lost some internal knowledge in part because of COVID and furloughs, and then as cities were doing sporadic events across 2 years, it was our furloughed workers that we were paying and compensating. And for a variety of reasons, time clocks don't like non-active people. We ended up doing hundreds of manual checks, and we had lost the ability or the knowledge on how to do supplemental runs. I spent $25,000 in expedited shipping in a 12-month period of time, and we lost the knowledge that we could just do this with supplemental runs and be a little bit more organized. So Weiss was the group that kind of re-educated my team on how to do that. And while I don't like supplemental runs, if I can electronically deposit it, that is a better situation for everybody involved than trying to have to chase an envelope and shipping around.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And, as you mentioned, Wise has been there with you in the past. They understand, the history that you've had and can make recommendations for the future as well. And, Steve and Marta, maybe can you talk a little bit about that continuity and how you look at the relationship with your clients, not as a, short-term project, but as a sort of a lifetime partnership?
Yeah, as Steve mentioned, our clients are kind of our lifeline, right? So we really believe that we are here to support our clients and make sure that they are successful. That's really our whole mission. All of our clients that we work with, I would say probably at least 90% of them have been partners and clients for life. So, and we truly believe and value that relationship. I think going forward in thinking about how we can support Encore, it's, staying engaged, talking about those strategies. What are those items that we can help kind of them achieve? What are the timelines, and bringing the right resources to the table to accomplish them timely?
Our folks have a passion for getting it done. And I'd like to say that it's always as simple. I mean, Carl's example of supplemental runs was a great one. Wish they were all relatively simple to do, but that passion that our folks bring to virtually every engagement that they're involved with goes a long way. And really looking at what that need is and trying to address that situation in a way that can be handled. And it's that transfer of knowledge that Carl said was lost earlier, that we can always restore that. And that's a powerful thing that we bring to our clients. Training and knowledge transfer, things that we just do because of our passion, because of our desire for success. We think that's a real influencer to why organizations stay with us.
Great points. Well, as we wrap up here, the final question I would have to you is what advice would you give to a customer, Carl, that's about to embark on a project as they consider the different options for a consulting partner? What would be some of the things that they should be looking for in a partner?
Looking for in a partner. I have different advice. I have more basic advice, honestly. When people like myself are embarking on a conversion or a project, often they just think about a once and done, and they don't budget time for training or costs for third-party support or ongoing. In fact, they don't even want to send folks to like annual user conferences, and I think that is such a short-sighted mistake. Putting a little aside, 10% of your spend aside for improvement activities or just knowledge and training that's the number one piece of advice I'd give.
Mm-hmm. So budget for training as well as change management in the project.
Yeah, the license itself of the software is one thing, and yes, that is a transaction kind of thing that gets in your fiscal budgets, but adding a little bit on there to optimize, to train, to have third-party best practice, that's the thing that I see people forgetting.
Great advice. Steve, how about you?
Yeah, I would add on top of that would be, and I think this is where we bring is the view of the value proposition that comes into the relationship. So much of it is not just about getting the task done, getting the transaction resolved. It's really what is the benefit, what's the value that's going to be brought to the organization. And that value can be discovered in multitudes of ways. And, sometimes it can come down right to a dollar amount. Sometimes it comes down to the relationship. Sometimes it comes down to just the knowledge that people gain over the life of the experience. So that's really a differentiation, I think, for what we bring is really looking at it. What are you trying to accomplish? And let's ensure that we're working towards success of that.
Great thoughts. And Marta, why don't we end with you?
I would just say that, what Steve and Carl have both indicated are very true. The passion that we bring to each and every engagement is so critical. And I think that, WISE is out there to support our clients and make sure that they are truly successful. And that's really our goal.
Great. Well, thank you all for joining me today, for your thoughts, and good luck to all of you as you embark upon your future UKG relationship.